Hi, Homeworthy. We're Aubrey and Hutten. Welcome to our home in Philadelphia.
Come on in. Can't wait to show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Moyer. I'm a wedding and lifestyle photographer.
Hi, I'm Hutten Moyer. I'm an architectural designer, and welcome to our home in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I think when we first started looking for a home, it was very casual. We knew we wanted a project, but not necessarily this large of a project. We were ready to be done renting. We rented in the area for about 2 years, and then we just kind of started searching on Zillow and came across a few homes that were a decent sized project for us. And then of course this house popped up, and it was 3 floors of chaos and dilapidation, and we loved it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was originally a rental. It was a rental for the longest time, and then sat vacant for a good period of time as well.
On Zillow, the carriage house is what drew me to it. So the house, of course, is like a beautiful home from the front. The Wissahickon schist is a very common stone in this area of Philadelphia, and that's what's on our front facade, which is amazing. So that was a beautiful detail that kind of drew us to it. But on Zillow, I'm scrolling through the photos, and I notice the carriage house in the back, it was technically a garage at one point, and it was basically like the roof had collapsed in and there were just brick walls left. And we both had this idea of what we could turn it into. And I think at first we were like, okay, we can make it a studio space. We'll rebuild it basically. And then once we got here and realized just how far gone it was, we turned it into a courtyard. And that was kind of just the vision for the space once we kind of got here and saw what we were working with.
So essentially we bought the house for the carriage house.
Yeah.
Which actually didn't turn into a carriage house at all, but more so a courtyard. Once we realized all the red tape and the process it would have taken in order to rehab it back to a carriage house.
Here we are in our entryway. This was a fairly recently completed project. So we have our front door here, walks us into our little vestibule entryway space. We have the main staircase that goes up here, and then we actually restored all of this woodwork. So it was in very, very rough condition, and that was what most of our time was spent on for this space. We had just the staircase woodwork and then all of the casing around the doorways, but we actually built out this wainscoting here to kind of match with the original woodwork, and we're very happy we were able to get an actual match with the wood. And then
lots of stain.
Yeah, we tried a lot of different stains.
Yeah, lots of different stains, but we actually used pine for this. That's old chestnut, which we were not going to replicate. It was an experiment. The wainscoting was a total experiment for us.
And we knew we wanted to use this amazing wallpaper. It's something that I've had my eyes on for years, and it was a bit out of our price range. So to combat that, we decided to purchase the half-wall wallpaper and build the wainscoting, thinking it would be cheaper, maybe easier, and it was not either of those things.
It was ultimately a wash, a total wash.
The wainscoting was definitely more expensive to build ourselves still, but it was worth it. We love how it ties in the warmth of the space, and then also just the original woodwork, being able to kind of replicate that. And then we just have a lot of different thrifted pieces in here as well. So this mirror is something I found. I love this little sandpiper. We love to go to Cape May, so that's a wonderful little reminder of those little guys in Cape May. Another detail I love about this space is this was the second time that I installed wallpaper in our home. A wonderful Instagram friend, actually, who owns another old house in the area, had recommended wrapping the pipes with wallpaper. And I did that in our guest room, and then I also did it here. And then we just painted the rest of the pipes to match with the woodwork here.
The ceiling was originally a plaster, all cracked plaster, because we're actually right below the bathroom. So we removed the whole ceiling. That allowed us to run all new plumbing for the bathroom that was upstairs, which the plumbing and electric and everything.
We had to build this plumbing stack because the original was cracked and we needed more space for it.
So we had an exposed pipe for going on probably about
at least 2.5 to 3
2.5
years. There was
years.
just an exposed pipe by our front door, which was wonderful to look at.
Before we actually got to renovating this space and completing this guy.
Yep. We love brass.
Yep.
So had to bring in some more brass in here. Found this little guy, $10 at an antique store. I'm very proud of that find. And then we also have our adorable little Harry Potter door that we love to show. This actually wraps around to, it's kind of probably gross in there, lots of cords, but that wraps around to our dining room and is one of our favorite little old house details in here. Another big detail in here on the staircase is actually this original window. Most of the windows in this house were replaced before we bought the house, so just the living room windows and then this window are original. The stained glass we actually had re-leaded recently, so that was just to be able to keep it. It was kind of concave, it looked like it was ready to fall out, so we had both of these panes redone so that we were able to keep the history here, and then we ran new window chain here so that it operates as it did when it was first installed.
Upon moving into the house, we essentially started off with the upstairs bathroom. We knew that was going to be a complete gut, as many of the rooms were.
We started before we moved in. We just went in and demoed the whole thing, thinking we could jump right into it.
And that actually took longer than we thought. And funny enough, we were also planning for our wedding around that time. So there's a lot of moving parts, but it was important for us to get the bathroom done. And
because it didn't function, by the way.
Correct. It was not a functioning bathroom. We had one functioning bathroom at the time. And the joke was on us because we actually didn't get back to jumping into that bathroom or working on it until,
a year and a half.
A year and a half later, because it seemed everything else started coming up, all sorts of other problems.
Within the first year, we had to do a full roof replacement. We had to replace the boiler, and then we also had to replace plumbing out to the street. So working with a budget here, that clearly meant we could not dive into our bathroom renovation right away. So it was kind of just like survival mode for that first year.
It was the ultimate trifecta of, oh crap.
Yeah. We had like a few second thoughts at first, but it worked out. And then basically our like plan for this house and what we can handle since we do live here, it's not a flip. We're restoring each room and renovating as we go. So we basically try our best to work on one room at a time, and then just kind of go from there. It obviously spills out into other spaces. We're not the best with completing a project before we jump into the next one, because we get excited, but it just
our mind's always going on what we want to do at the next room.
Yeah.
In the next room. So there's always something. So coming off the main entry vestibule space, we have the living room. We have not touched the living room.
Yeah,
so
it looks cozy for now, but promise you it's not done.
It is
very thrown together.
Lived in, it is comfortable.
Yeah.
But we have some pretty big plans for the space.
Yeah. Currently we just have like our Facebook Marketplace couch, Facebook Marketplace shelving. The only piece in here that is really meaningful is this Chinese cabinet that was actually my grandparents that they brought home on a time that they were traveling there. So that's really the only big special piece in here that we'd love to work into the final design once we get to this room. Like most of the rooms we do, we keep the wood flooring, we keep the woodwork with like the baseboards, and then we basically will skim coat the plaster walls where we can. Sometimes we have to rip them out to do insulation, and then usually we rip out the ceiling because the plaster is not in good shape, and that also gives us time and space to be able to run all of the new electric that we need. The house has knob and tube wiring, so every room we do new updated wiring and then put in the lights where we want them. So this room will be next, and we're very excited to make this more cozy and cohesive.
Like the stairway window, we're gonna rehab these windows, so hopefully we could get those operable. The fireplace, that's leaving, and we'll actually build in a much more.
We would love to find like an antique marble mantle to be able to put here. Still a gas fireplace because that's what we're working with, but we'd love to do that, and then maybe some shelving. That's my dream. We'll figure out if we can build that in.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
I went to school for architecture. I actually went to school around the corner at what used to be Philadelphia University, which is now Thomas Jefferson University. But I graduated back in 2020, 2021?
2020.
2020, graduated back in 2020. And since then, I've been working in residential architecture. So being in that field introduced me to a lot of the nuances, a lot of the processes that go into creating a design within a private home. Also being able to see some of the inner workings of some of the construction and processes.
I like to peek over his shoulder when he's working sometimes because I have a passion for it, but I don't have a background in it.
I like to work with my hands, but I think that also came from growing up from a family who does a lot of work themselves and always has a project going on.
We both grew up very similarly with that. Both of our dads are always working on something. Our moms are always very involved as well. And I think we just both grew up helping our dads with these things. And from
mothers.
And moms too, yeah. From a young age, like I wanted to be working with power tools with my dad and mowing the lawn from like 8 years old. And I just like I always had an interest in it. I wanted to learn how everything worked and how my dad was fixing things. He would never call someone, like ever. It was always like, no, I can fix this. So I think you also had a similar upbringing with that. And it was just like, we had the confidence to think like, okay, if we don't know how to do something with this house right away, we can figure it out, we can learn it, and we can also call our dads every once in a while. So
there's definitely a sense of pride in being able to create something, do something on your own, and ultimately have an awesome creation at the end of the day, whether it's a birdhouse or a whole bathroom or a whole house.
Yeah, and I think with my job as well, I used to work in marketing, fashion marketing, but it was always, now it's wedding photography. I think just having like an eye for detail and also light and the way things work together, I think that's kind of helped influence my design sense. Like I said, I don't have a background in design. I didn't take any design classes. I think it's just like always been a passion of mine.
It's what we enjoy doing.
So coming off of the entryway, we're entering into our dining room. This is a space that we have painted several times until it felt right. Most recently, we did a beautiful lime wash with Color Atelier paints, and we're very happy with it. We had tried a dark color in here, and it doesn't get a whole lot of natural light, so it felt very dark and moody, but we're very happy with the warm beige that we have right now. This amazing table that matches the original woodwork is from Lulu in Georgia, and then our chairs are from Crate and Barrel. The woodwork in here is the same wood as what's in our entryway, and these are the only two rooms basically that have not been painted, the woodwork. So it was really important to us to be able to get all of the paint spray and the old shellac that was alligatoring off of this wood and be able to make them shine again.
Shine for the awesome contents behind the door. It's a liquor cabinet.
So this was a closet we kind of turned into a liquor cabinet for now. Very convenient, but it works.
It works. And on the other side, we have...
Yeah, this side, so we have these two mirroring cabinets, which is really cool. One of our favorite things about the dining room. And this is our coat closet. It is very much used, so a little messy in there, but...
When living in these row home styled Philadelphia homes, there's not too much room for space and storage, so we try to maximize every little bit of storage, and whether it's a coat closet, we shove everything in there, so it works.
Actually, in the liquor cabinet, this was leftover wallpaper from the guest room that I used in here, so just tossed it in there because it was really dingy and gross in here, so we cleaned it up, added the wallpaper, and it's a perfect little liquor cabinet.
It works.
So the next star of this room is actually our giant mirror. We found this on Facebook Marketplace the first summer that we lived in the house and knew exactly where it was going to go. It's definitely not in like the best shape. So there's parts that The mold is in beautiful shape. There's parts where it is missing. We plan to try to kind of recreate with plaster molds these sections and rebuild. But for now, it works wonderfully. It's a beautiful mirror. We hope it's not haunted, but get what you get.
Haven't seen anything so far. So
and then this is a Facebook Marketplace find that we completely refinished, and that works great for extra storage in this room. This piece is one of our absolute favorites. We actually had this custom made from a local marble place. We were able to go select the stone that we wanted, and then this was kind of a design that we had in mind through looking at some other ones that we liked, and we chose this simple clean line look, and then they kind of just added this bar down here for more stability. But love the waterfall look, love the stone, kind of pulls in some of that green that matches the chairs. And then this lovely art piece was created by us very recently. Kind of tried to tie in some of the colors in here. We just weren't finding anything that fit, and we wanted it to be a little bit more modern in contrast to a lot of our antique pieces that are in this room. So we built that. A lot of vases. I love vessels. I love being able to have fresh flowers, fresh branches. A lot of times I'll just trim some branches on the side of the road. And that was this, some little foraging. And this vase is by 23rd by Deanne. She has a bunch of new and vintage pieces, so absolutely love her vases. And then this candelabra was a friend of mine who sells some vintage pieces and is also an interior designer.
Similar to a lot of the rooms, that when we approach them, we start off by assessing what can stay, what needs to be refurbished, and what needs to be completely gutted and ripped out. And typically 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the ceilings that we tackle first. We come in, demo all the plaster and lath, take that out.
Messy part.
Yep, that's the most messy part, but it's also the most fun. So we'll add all new electric, do an all new lighting plan, lighting layout, insulate, and then just hang some new drywall. Well, actually, we'll fur out the ceiling, getting into the weeds here. But all new ceiling. So, and then we go into the wall. We do a skim coat over all the walls, so that way it's smooth, relatively smooth.
So keeping the original plaster, just skimming over it to smooth. Yep. And then I think, just the original swing door. So this door was another thing that we fell in love with when we first found the house. It's the original swing door that kind of goes into the kitchen. It goes both ways. Oh, we're missing a pane of glass here.
Some things aren't complete.
So we can pull it this way, and then we can also swing it towards the kitchen. We just love it. We usually keep it open. But another thing you'll see in a lot of these style homes in Philadelphia especially is a lot of people, when they come in and renovate these homes, they will remove this wall so that you can make the kitchen bigger, you can make the kitchen and dining one space. And we wanted to keep the original woodwork, we wanted to keep the original mirrored closets, so we decided to live with the kitchen as is, and it is smaller, it's not the most well functioning right now, but it gave us the ability to have this space to have our friends and family over. Yes. And we love the dining room space and having that be separate from the kitchen, and then also just keeping with the historical layout of the home.
Not that we don't like open concept floor plans, it's just we wanted to keep the two spaces separate and have that divide.
In our apartment, I was obsessed with rattan for some reason. Everything was rattan, and there's nothing wrong with rattan, but I think it was something that I went through a phase in my early 20s. And then once I hit the mid-20s, I kind of had an idea of a slightly more mature style, and I think that also helped blend with his. I like knickknacks, I like things, I like pattern. He is a little more clean.
Yes, contemporary. I always grew up loving contemporary, modern architecture, interior design. I believe I'm a minimalist at heart.
Yeah, and I'm not. So I think we've been able to blend it well together. We both love being outside, and nature is a huge part of our lives. So I think that's reflected a lot in our color palettes, our patterns. I mean, even the wallpaper, the art we choose. There's a lot of greens and blues and browns and beiges, just earth tones, because that's what makes us feel most comfortable. So I think we've been able to blend that pretty well together. you have a love for Japanese architecture and Japanese influence, which I have now also grown to love. I've
been trying to feed it into the design and little aspects of the house where I could.
And I kind of love like French antique and Parisian modern. So I think we've been able to blend the two of those drastic differences pretty well together.
But when it comes to the actual house, I think the house already has its own template with some of the existing features, some of the existing architectural elements.
Which we do restore and keep.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that really influences and kind of guides the path and the design that we, that should, what feels right.
Yeah, we work with
the space.
like the trim and the wood flooring. We're not coming in and just wiping all of that out. We're keeping what we can and restoring what we can, and then adding in these other elements. And it's eclectic at times. It doesn't all blend together perfectly, but it's us, and I think it works well with the house, and it feels cozy.
What's fun is that there's no wrong answer, there's no wrong design, and it's always changing, and it's ultimately something that we could always, it's ours.
Grow too.
It's we painted this dining room.
Three times
now?
in the last year and a half?
Yeah. Hopefully that's the last time. But it's always changing, and it's not this pristine jewel box, but it's a home. It's meant to be explored. It's meant to be lived in and changed.
Yep.
Changed.
Okay, and then coming from the dining room, we're going into the kitchen. This is an untackled space, so it is not the most attractive or functional. It's a very small kitchen. We have very, very big plans for this space. This section right here actually is a back staircase, so we have that goes upstairs, and then we also have a basement door that goes downstairs. We have a lot of reconfiguring that we're planning on doing to make this more functional, more
enjoyable to cook in?
more enjoyable to be in. But right now it works. Kitchens are a big undertaking, and they're also very expensive to do. So this is going to be a space that we hopefully tackle in the next year and a half, but definitely a lot more planning goes into a kitchen than a living room. So this should be tackled fairly soon, but for now it works.
So what makes this space very difficult is the fact that there's 4 doorways coming in from the dining room, from the back mudroom, from the basement, and the back staircase. So the intention is to eliminate these 2 doorways and actually wrap the kitchen around into a C configuration or U configuration. So the basement stair will actually come through the dining room. So we're going to plan to blow out the liquor cabinet, the awesome liquor cabinet.
It would still be there.
It will still be there, but we're going to configure the door down to the basement. And this, I know this is a little bit behind the scenes, but this is the back staircase. And we plan to blow through this brick wall to go into the mud room, so that way the stair can lead all the way through there, and eventually cover this all up and have some counters, some cabinets wrapped around here. So that's the plan.
Yeah.
Will it work? I don't know. I think for both of us, the favorite thing is back courtyard.
Yeah, what we created in the backyard is...
Yeah, that's ultimately the reason why we bought the home in the first place.
Yeah.
So to actually see it come to life, our vision unfold.
Yeah, I think when, like I said in the beginning, when we saw this house and we saw what was back there, the immediate thought was like, oh, we can make it a studio space, a rental, whatever like crossed our mind was an interior space. And I'm so glad that it was too far gone for us to afford to rebuild it, because we are outdoorsy people at heart. Being in the city and having so many trees on this street, having a beautiful garden back there and space that we can be outside and also have grass and entertain our friends and family is just so important to us. And before it was a cement slab and a pit, basically. We still lovingly call it the pit. But it's now a green space and a place to hang out, and we're back there all the time. So I think that's probably our favorite space. If I had to choose an indoor space, I would probably say our bedroom, just because of the big bay windows, the window on the side. There's trees coming in from all angles. It just gets wonderful light throughout the day. It's just a really cozy, peaceful spot. So coming from the kitchen, we're going through the laundry room, and then we're going out this door that we restored out to the courtyard. All right, so this is our courtyard and backyard. This whole grass space used to be a cement slab. We built the fence this past summer. This was all work that we did within the last year, actually. So when we bought the house, the carriage house was full of, it went down a whole basement level. So it went down about 10 feet from where you see now. And it was just full of roofing material, everything that was in the garage before it collapsed. So we spent several months of the first year of living here clearing it out, taking things home to burn, taking things to the dump. We saved a lot of the floor joists actually that weren't rotten. We were able to save those, and we've repurposed them for different projects, but a lot of it was just junk that we had to get rid of.
When we got tired of working on interior projects, we would come out here
because we love
and
to be
just
outside.
start clearing out the pit and
Yep.
just making a giant pile of wood and all the debris on the side. Mind you, again, everything was all concrete.
Yeah, it was all it was like a slanted concrete slab that we still had a table on and sat out here for dinner sometimes. So
We
wasn't
made
that
the most of it. Yeah, we made the most of it
Yeah.
when we could.
But yeah, a lot of the work came after we were finally able to fill the pit. So that was our biggest concern. Was we have a very narrow driveway. We knew a dump truck couldn't fit down it.
But I think what's important to say is that even though we had to remove all the organic items out, such as like wood branches, leaves,
Anything that
things
would
like
decompose.
anything that would decompose over time to limit the amount of settling that would happen once we did fill everything up. So once we got all the main junk out, we were able to, fill it with dirt. How much was it?
They did, I think, 18 truckloads of dirt. And basically what they did was they would dump the dirt at the end of our driveway, and then we had a team come in with a skid loader, and he basically just drove back and forth with dirt up and down our driveway to fill this. We did one whole day of that, and then a few months later, after some settling happened over the winter, last spring we did the final amount of dirt, and we were able to bring this level up, and then we also brought up the whole backyard. So from the entryway to the courtyard, this used to slant all the way down to our driveway, and we built this up, and then my dad and I actually built a stone retaining wall. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it too easily, but we have steps down into the driveway. So we built that retaining wall up so that we were able to have a flat yard, which was a pretty big thing for us, just so it wasn't so slanted. After we were able to fill it, we scored these guys on Facebook Marketplace. They were about 500 pounds each.
Something.
There's 3 of them, and we actually, in order to get them off of the truck and back here, we had we used pipes, and we
PVC
literally
pipes?
did we rolled them on pipes to be able to get them back here because you could not lift them. And then we brought in the pea gravel and did all of our planting over the last year, and everything has come back beautifully this spring. This was the first spring that we got to see everything come in. The wisteria, this is Japanese wisteria, that has grown like crazy. We're always out here kind of clipping it, maintaining it to make sure it doesn't get too wild. And then a lot of our time was also spent repointing the bricks in many areas. This whole front wall here, this half wall, was about ready to collapse. We had to come in and kind of rebuild all of the lintels here. This was an old floor joist that was not rotten, and we were able to save. So we were able to use that there for the lintel and then kind of rebuild the brick around it. Everything is sturdy and in much better condition now, so we're very happy that we could save all of these walls and keep it as part of the courtyard.
The ultimate objective here, though, was to really make it feel like an Italian
French.
Italian French courtyard, but
Yeah.
really lean into the idea that it's a set of ruins in the backyard.
Yeah, I found the fountain on Facebook Marketplace. It was actually an older couple who had gotten it for their wedding many, many years ago, and they were downsizing and they couldn't take it with them. So we got to give it a good home.
I originally wanted a plunge pool, but figured that would have been a little difficult
Yeah.
and too big.
Not
so
ideal.
The fountain is the
Yeah.
next best thing.
Another thing that I like dreamed about since we decided to make this whole space a courtyard was having shutters. I just love the aesthetic of shutters. I love looking at old French buildings and seeing all of the shutters there. So I actually built these just to be custom and fit in here. It obviously doesn't keep the wind out or the bugs out, but they're pretty, and it does give us some amount of privacy from backyards. So like our neighbor's backyard this way, our neighbor's backyard this way, and there's a road on that side. So it does give us some extra privacy when we decide to close them. But other than that, I just think they're really pretty, and I love the blue.
This was probably, what, your fourth option on blue?
Yeah.
Once you got it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you can see, there's a lot of growth. We got English ivy. The main root is on the other side of the wall. So one of the big concerns was
That was the only thing we didn't plant. So
Yeah.
the English ivy and the Virginia creeper are actually growing from the opposite side of the wall, which is not our property. And that has just grown so
it
much over the
continues to
last
grow
few
every
years
season.
too.
It's always growing. But one of the main concerns really was just how bad does the other side of the wall look?
Yeah,
Just
like
with
is
the-
it getting into, a lot of times ivy can get into the mortar and kind of break up the foundation of buildings. So we were able to go on the other side and see how that wall is doing, and
Great
it
neighbor.
actually
Really
is like
friendly neighbor.
protecting the wall, which is
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. The other side of the wall looks a lot better than this, which is oddly enough.
Yeah.
But
We
Yeah.
are aware that that's an invasive species. We keep it under control.
as we said, this was a carriage house, so everything had a basement. Where we're standing right now, this was the main garage space where the original homeowner actually had an oil truck where he would park that here. And if we circle back around towards this side, this is where his office was. So you could see everything is elevated a little bit. So it was actually like two or three steps up, and this would have been the elevated office overlooking the garage. Everything was the interior. So what's interesting about a lot of this brick construction is you would use a much more common, a softer brick for interior, for the interior width of the brick, versus your harder brick for the exterior. So because the roof collapsed, everything was exposed, all the lath and plaster fell, the interior brick was being exposed to the elements and started to crumble. So what you could see are some areas where I was coming over with a lime and sand mixture to fill some of the deteriorating brick. And I know it's not perfect. It's not supposed to look perfect. Just as a way to stop the deterioration of the brick and add to the whole, rough courtyard aesthetic.
Okay. So as far as plants go, we decided to do a mixture of hydrangea and catmint. So we did white bobo hydrangea. They stay a little bit more compact, only growing to about 3 by 3 feet. And then the catmint here, we actually had just cut it back. It has beautiful purple flowers, but if you cut it back in the summer, it will rebloom. We're kind of in that in-between phase, unfortunately, but the hydrangeas are growing beautifully this year. This set of Chase lounges was another Facebook Marketplace find. I've gotten very lucky for back here. And then we have cushions from the company store, and this cute little side table is from Olive Atelier. And then as far as our table and chairs goes, this tablecloth is one of my favorites. It's from a collab that Shay McGee from McGee & Co. did with Loefla Randall. And then our table is actually from Terrain. Show that. It's a beautiful teakwood table. We had a much smaller table in here, so this is a new addition to the space that we can finally seat more friends and family back here. And then our chairs are actually a mixture of new and old. The beautiful swirly chairs are from Olive Atelier, and then these two chairs, the two end chairs, are from the side of the road. Hudson was out for a walk one day and sent me a
Parsley
picture.
and saw those ready for the trash,
Yep.
and saw the opportunity, and I took them.
Yep, so added those two to the end, and the metals mixed really well together, so
Yep.
got lucky.
Say so. When we moved in and once we got the yard complete, we knew that we wanted to have a fence just to have a little bit more privacy, more enclosure. But what really kick-started this whole project with the fence was getting little parsley over here. But anyways, we knew we wanted a cedar fence. We wanted a vertical configuration and have a framed condition like this. So we saved a bunch of images on Pinterest, and then really got down to, okay, how are we going to build this? Hello. How are we going to build this within a budget, considering cedar is so expensive? We actually found a guy on Facebook Marketplace located in New Jersey.
This is not an ad for Facebook Marketplace.
No, this is it. No. Yeah, as you can tell, as you can see, we love Facebook Marketplace. Anyways, the guy was selling Atlantic cedar. But he was doing wholesale bundles. So that gave us an opportunity to get all the wood. And it really came down to the assembly.
All right, so this is the stone retaining wall that my dad and I built in order for us to be able to bring up the level of the backyard. And then we added in this wonderful gate, keeping it wide so we can come and go with plants and furniture and everything we could need for back here, and keeps it all enclosed perfectly.
I think our ultimate goal when we have anyone over is to evoke a feeling of coziness, just being welcomed, comfort. We always go out to eat at different restaurants, and we're always analyzing the lighting, the furniture, and just the interior design and how the space actually evokes a feeling.
Yeah.
And we just think I personally think, how do we replicate that? How do we create that essence of warmth for everyone when they come in?
I think one of the biggest compliments when people walk into our bedroom specifically is that it feels peaceful. And I think that comes with like the light and the trees through the windows, and then just like the colors we chose. I mean, that's just like a big compliment to me, is when you feel comfortable in a space. And I think that's our main goal, is just to make it feel lived in and comfortable. All right, so coming into the first room on the second floor, this is our guest room. This was one of the rooms that we actually first lived in. When we first moved into the house, this was our bedroom because we were working on the primary bedroom at the time. So we have a special place in our heart for this room. It feels like you're kind of up in the trees. We have all of our neighbors' trees over this way. Through the windows, all you can really see is trees. And then the neighbors on this side have a beautiful dogwood tree that has pink blooms in the spring, and it's just wonderful. So what we did in this room was actually, this is Clove. In this room, we did half-wall wainscoting, so we didn't build it out the same way we did downstairs. It was more of just like a molding to look like wainscoting, so not the full build-out. But then I also added this wallpaper, which is from Sandberg Wallpaper. It has a really beautiful light bluish purple and floral print, so love that. And then we kind of tied in some more of the dark wood tones in this room through the nightstands, and then these lights are from Magnolia, and then we have some thrifted art in here as well, and some piglet in bed sheets, and then this blanket and quilt are from Lulu in Georgia. And then we also have this piece right here. This was something I found for very little at a thrift store. It definitely needs to be refinished a little bit, but I kind of love the worn-in look. And then a lot of the floral arrangements you're going to see throughout the house are from a lovely florist friend, and they're all locally grown, which is really cool. So she was able to give us those flowers, and then I could arrange them how we wanted throughout the house. And I just love having fresh flowers in this home. So that was something that we did for this room. And then this mirror is actually not part of this. It's not a set, but went together pretty well for now. And then this cute little nook, we got this chair from Lulu in Georgia. And then if you notice, this little guy looks kind of familiar. I was scrolling on Instagram one day and came across that blanket, and it looks exactly like parsley, so had to get it. And then we have another thrifted piece of art right here, and a cute little closet for this guest room right there as well.
Wall, it actually started with a leak above the window early on. And upon exploring where the leak was coming from, we realized that water was coming in through the whole sill. So we removed that, and that eventually led to removing the whole wall in general. So we rebuilt this wall, actually, and actually built in front of it, and re-insulated it, re-boxed out the windows and everything. So That was one of the main mishaps of this room. Again, ceiling came down. We rebuilt the ceiling, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, also, all the crown that you see throughout the house, we actually found that on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was selling a bunch of linear feet out of their basement. They wanted to get rid of it. I saw the opportunity, and we picked up a lot, and we tried to incorporate the crown in every room once we redo it.
Yeah, so the baseboards in all of the rooms are original, but the crown, there was no crown molding in this room.
No crown molding.
Yeah, and a lot of the rooms upstairs, there was no crown molding, and we love the look of crown, and it also ties in really well with the baseboards. So this was one of the rooms where we just added completely new crown molding with the stuff we found.
Every ceiling that we removed in this house had a plaster popcorn or
the popcorn ceiling.
almost like a spiral brush texture, which
Yeah.
in its own right is kind of interesting, but it wasn't really our
Wasn't
style.
for us.
It wasn't for us.
I think what gives our house soul specifically is the dark, rich wood in the home, the trim work, the floors that show scratches and grooves and holes.
See imperfections.
I
See
think it's
imperfections
like
that give the soul.
the history and knowing that we are not the first people that lived here. I'm sure we won't be the last, and being able to see the marks on the staircase and actually hearing from the people who grew up here, like, oh, that's where so-and-so did this, or jumped from here.
Yeah, jump off the
from there to the
staircase
couch,
to the
and
couch.
just like being able to hear those stories and then being able to see it reflected in the physical characteristics of the home. I think that really gives the house some soul.
It's perfectly imperfect, as we call it say. So this is the bathroom that we originally gutted when we first moved into the home, and actually sat for, what do we say, like 2 years?
Yeah, until we had enough time and money to be able to jump into this big of a project. It sat empty for a little bit.
Yep, completely gutted down to the studs, down to the wood studs.
Yep, just a shell of a room.
Mm-hmm. So, as all bathrooms, we first started with running all new plumbing, all new electric, and eventually waterproofing everything. So one of the main things with this was adding the shower. So there was originally a clawfoot tub over in this corner.
Which we saved. We'll be
We
using
did
it on
save.
the third floor.
That'll be on the third floor. So when you originally walked in, the toilet was always here, clawfoot tub, and then over in this corner we had a single
Was there a
vanity here,
Yeah.
and then was there a closet over
There was
there?
a
There
little
was a
closet.
closet. So what we ultimately did was we blew out the wall on this side. On the other side is the bedroom. So that allowed us to make room for the shower here and extended the closet a little bit more. So we took the closet from the bedroom on the opposite side in order to get the shower.
That's going into a lot, but
Yeah.
So one thing in this bathroom we're very proud to say is that we did all of the work in here ourselves except for the installation of this marble backsplash and then the installation of our shower doors. But we did all of the tiling. We wanted to stick with this penny hex tile to actually, when we were demoing this room, there was like a vinyl
Luxury vinyl floor.
There was a vinyl gray flooring, and when we ripped that up, we saw a bunch of penny hex tile that was kind of destroyed. It had spray paint on it. It was smashed. So when we were choosing a tile for this bathroom, we were like, you know what, let's kind of bring that back in because we knew that was the original tile. So we were able to do that there, and we ran that throughout the entire shower. And then we chose kind of a handmade looking tile for inside the shower. And we also built the little shower nook in here and chose our brass fixtures from Kohler that we love. And then we did choose to do, this was just a design choice for us, but we chose to do this marble surround threshold into the shower, and then we mirrored that same look within the shower niche in there. And then the other major thing we love about this bathroom is our vanity. This was actually a piece that we found on Facebook Marketplace, another one. So we found this on Facebook Marketplace when we first moved into the home, probably like 3 months after we purchased the home, we found it. And it was up in North Philly, and we immediately knew this is what we wanted for our double vanity in the bathroom. So we just held on to it for about 2 years until we were able to get into this space and use it in here. We reconfigured, so all of these drawers, we have them, they're useful, and then these two at the top are stationary because of the sinks, but the rest of these drawers are all used as storage. So it was a really wonderful fit. And then we took the original marble top that was on it. We had a local place cut it, and then we also matched this for the backsplash and the corbels and the shelf. So this piece is the original antique, and then this is new marble that we were able to match, and we just loved that antique look of the shelf with corbels. And then these are from Visual Comfort, and this was a thrifted find that we painted with the same as the trim color to kind of tie all of that together. We have 2 art pieces in here from Japan that we bought on our trip last April, and we just love being able to have those framed in here as well. This plant is covering this one a little bit, but there's another one that's one of our favorites, and the greens just tied in really well for this room. Okay, and then on the other side of the shower, we have this closet. So this glass was actually original to the house. So we found a lot of this glass. It actually has like a little floral texture in the basement when we first moved in, and we were able to get a piece that matched that because none of them were big enough. But this was a little door that was actually going to, it was in the back staircase, and we were able to cut it down a little bit to be able to use here. We had to do a lot of paint scraping, but it was all worth it to be able to use for the closet. And then we just have it as like a little laundry closet, and perfect for extra storage in the bathroom. And this little knob is not antique as much as I wish it was. It's from Anthropologie, so you can get one too. And then coming around the corner from the primary bathroom, this is our bedroom that we love so much. This was the first room that we finished. It was our first full room, and it took us much longer than I think it should have, just because it was our first room that we were tackling. So
it was all new to us.
Yeah.
At the time, it was all new. And I can also say that the crown molding. As we said before, we like to incorporate the crown molding into each one of the rooms. And this was our first introduction into hanging crown, installing crown, cutting crown.
And ironically, we chose the room that has 15 corners throughout the whole thing. So that was a lot of cursing and...
Yeah. Not to mention everything is settled over time. So nothing is straight,
level in
flat,
an old home.
plumb. Yeah. So it's all sorts of wonky, but it gives it character, and yeah.
With our furniture in our bedroom, our bed frame and our chair are from Sixpenny Home, and they're both slip-covered pieces that are just beautiful. I love the 2 different tones of greens. And then we have our olive tree in here, which we have brought back to life. He struggles a little bit in the summer, so we took him outside, cleaned him up, and he is back in here happy and healthy. And then we love the bay window in here, and it looks out over our sugar maple tree. And that was actually planted. We've heard from the original owners of this home that they remembered their father planting it when they were little. So it's very cool that it is still a very healthy and happy tree. It's the biggest on the block. So we're very grateful that we get to look out our bedroom window and see it every day. And then this little nook that we have our bed frame in is obviously a little tight. So the only real like nightstands we were able to use are these thrifted pedestals that we found. Actually, Hutton's mom had one in her garage.
Thank you, Mom.
Yes, thank you, Mom. And then this one was one I found on Facebook Marketplace, and a lot of our art is thrifted or secondhand. This is a piece from Japan that we love. And then this piece on the side on the left here with the little cat, that was a little postcard from Japan. And I painted the little waves in that antique frame. Let's see, our light fixture is from Crate and Barrel. We just love anything that's like fluted or has like some amount of texture to it, and the fabric gives off like a really great light. So we like how that kind of ties into these sconces that are from Anthropologie. And then let's see if we wrap around to this side. This was another thrifted find. This dresser was a very horrible orange color when I first found it. So we were able to strip that down to the original wood and change out the handles on it. And then I paired it with an Anthropologie mirror, the Primrose mirror, an iconic one. And then this was from a local artist that I framed with a Goodwill frame that I found. That's my little secret. Goodwill, go to there for frames and then change out the art. Our quilts are both from West Elm, and we love how the green and browns kind of tie into everything else in this room, and clearly Parsley's very happy on it as well.
Moving into these row home style Philadelphia homes, it's, like we said, low on storage. So the only storage available was this closet here. And as you can see, most of it is filled with shoes and dresses. So we needed to incorporate storage in some way, shape, or form. So we decided to do the IKEA hack. So we got the IKEA pack system. So we built out a whole frame for the IKEA cases to slide those in. And in order to kind of dress up that IKEA door, we actually put a bunch of trim.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of trim from Home Depot, and ironically, I mean, it probably wasn't the quickest or smartest idea, but I took 2 pieces of trim to build out to the profile that I wanted. So that was a lot of cutting and gluing and nailing and all that, but it worked out great. So it looks just more intricate and kind of fits in more with like the historic style that we have throughout the home. And then these were just from Amazon, actually, little handles that kind of tied in well as well. And yeah, we both have our own side.
So one of the fun things about this and what made this kind of challenging, and again, this was the introduction into living and renovating an old home, was just how crooked everything was. So if you actually look down at the floor, we had to elevate everything on its own plinth, if you will, in order to achieve level, because the whole floor slopes. If we put a marble down here, it's going straight that way. But you could see the difference in the baseboards and how much everything had to come across in order to keep everything level and where it intersects. So just like little moments like that are a dead giveaway as to the imperfections of living in an old home.
Yeah,
but,
and if you want to keep the original floors, which we did, there's no leveling that out. So you'll definitely see, like with the crown molding and the baseboards, certain imperfections with that, but it's just, you just gotta live with it.
Yep.
Learn to love it. All right, and just so you know, we have a whole 3rd floor that still needs to be worked on. Up these stairs, there are 3 more bedrooms on the 3rd floor that we have yet to tackle, but we have big plans, so stay tuned for that. This was our first home together. We rented in Philadelphia for 2 years before we bought this home, and it's the home we got married in. It's the home we adopted our cats and now our puppy in. It's the home that we will bring our future children home to. So I think for us, it's just like the first of like so many things. I don't want to get emotional, but it really is. Like we have put so much time and effort into working on this home every like hour after work, when you get home from work, when I get home from work, on weekends when I'm not shooting weddings, we are working on this house. And if we're out and about, we're looking for things that we can bring home to this house. So I think it's just like, it is so meaningful to us.
Yep.
And
I don't want to say it became part of our identity, but
it is.
it has. It really has. It's a
Yeah.
lot of what we think about, what we do, kind of revolves around our home.
Yeah, and even like as much of a struggle as it was in the first like year or two with things going wrong and like pouring all of our time and money and effort into it, it has become our favorite place, and we're just very proud of what we've been able to create here.
And we're now at the point where anything that we do, it's for fun. It's
For the
not.
most part.
Yeah, it's not.
We've gotten the main things out of the way, like a
Yeah.
bedroom, a bathroom. The kitchen is,
Yeah,
we'll get there.
kitchen works.
Yeah.
There's some things that will need some help, but it's ultimately we do this because it is fun, and it's our hobby.
Yeah.
It's our hobby.
The
to take care of
second
the
that,
home.
if you are working on a home like this, the second that, I feel like my dad probably told me this, but the second that you stop having fun with it, you need to take a break because you're going to get burned out and you got to finish it. So.
Yeah, it has to get done.
Yeah. Homeworthy, it was so fun showing you our home in Philadelphia.
Our time here has ended, so take care.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.